Hello, I'm Jeremy, and today I'm going to be taking a look at a game by the name of Hex Roller. This is designed by Rustin Hawkinson, published in the U.S. by Renegade Games and Pegasus Spiel in Germany. There's a bilingual version of this. Mine has German and English rules in it. The box says 15 to 20 minutes. Realistically, it's more like 10 minutes. And the box also says 1 to 8 players. I don't see any reason why you couldn't play this with unlimited number of players. It's essentially as many players as you have pen and score pads available for it could play with. Box also says ages 8 and up. Seems about right to me. It is a roll and write game where players are going to each get their own score pad. You'll roll a bunch of dice and create chains on a essential grid that you have in front of you, hoping to score in various ways, whether that's making route connections or completing sections of that grid. Let me take a few minutes to show you how the game plays, and then I'll come back and let you know what I think about it. So Hex Roller comes with a score pad, which is a two-sided score pad, so there's essentially two different play fields, an easy and a harder or a more advanced play field. I think most players are going to play on the more advanced play field every time, so I'm not sure why they included that one on the back. But essentially what you're going to be doing is, if you're using the more advanced playfield, you'll use these 8 dice, which are almost standard 6-siders, except every side has +2 added to it. So instead of from 1 through 6, it'll go from 3 through 8. And each round, what will happen is you will roll the dice, and then you'll create a track using 2 sets of the dice. So let me just demonstrate that. So for example, I roll the dice. I have a set of 4 4s, I have 2 6s, and 2 8s. So each player is going to be able to pick 2 of these groups, and players can pick the same groups if you're playing multiplayer. So maybe I would take all 4 of these 4s, and then what you're going to do is you're going to put 4s, starting from a 4 that's existing at the start of the round, and build a chain of 4s filling in numbers on the grid. So for example, I might choose to go 4, building off of this 4, 4, 4, 4. That would take one group of dice. Then I could choose one of these other ones, the 8s or the 6s. I might take these 8s and go, for example, 8 and 8. And since there's 2 dice, I write in 2 8s. Here, 4 dice, I write in 4 4s. So then, at the end of the round, what you'll do is you'll write down here 4 and 8. So essentially, you can see that's one of our 7 rounds already taken up. So the game's very brief. So what are you trying to do? So what you're trying to do is basically complete, you can see the board's divided in these groups, these colored groups. If you fill in a whole group with numbers at the end of the game, that group is going to score. Otherwise, if it has any empty spots, it won't score. So that's one thing that you're trying to do. Second thing is you're trying to create chains, like so for example, we have a pre-printed 7 here and here. If I get a group of all 7s, connecting those 2, that'll score me, in that case, 7 points. So that's another thing I'm trying to do. The center region, if you completely fill that in, it'll score double. Essentially, the way that things are going to score is if everything's filled in, you look at what number appears the most within that colored section, and you get that many points. Here, let's say that I filled this all in and 4s were here the most, I would get 4 times 2, so 8 points. Because it's a bigger section, you get double points for that. So this is just saying here that essentially every one of these sections will score for its most populous number. If it's a tie, you take the higher number, double for that middle section. Then here is just telling you the connections for your bonuses of connecting, you know, for example, here I connected this 4 to this 4, so that'll be 4 points for me at the end of the game. Another thing that you're trying to do is, as you're drafting dice, you're going to try and have connections or collections down here on this top and bottom line of, you can see here I have 3 4 5 6 7 8. Starting with 3, you count up with each number, and every number that you could, the highest number that you could get to before you break your chain, you're going to get that many points. So right now I don't have any points, but if I have a 3 here, I would get 3 4, and I would have 4 points for my top line. So each line's going to score like that. But and then you do have some special powers here. This is just essentially, you could use, I believe, one of these on each turn. This is right in a 2 anywhere on your board. This is to draft 3 sections of dice instead of just 2 sections of dice. And then this one is to basically add a die to the group that you're selecting. So this might be a good time for me to select a third set of dice, so if I would cross that out, you can only use it once per game, I would get to also write in some sixes, so maybe I'd write in these 2 sixes down here. Since this is such a brief game, I'll just show you how the game plays out. So 3s, we have 8s, we have 5, 6, 6, 7. So in this case, I could keep working on my 8s over here, but it's usually a good idea, I think, to get the 3s because of that bonus down here. So maybe I would choose to go here, 3 and 3. I could write in my 3s, so there. And then over here, I could maybe take the 6s and go 6 up here, 6 up here, and write the 6 in down here. What I'm trying to do is essentially close off that hex. So here we have 3 7s, 3 6s, a 3, and a 4. So I think in that case I might take the 6s and 7s, all other things being equal. So I'll take the 7s second and the 6s first. So let's see, 6s, I have 3 of them. And you could build off of this 6 down here, that I've written in, or one of the pre-printed ones that's already on the board. I think I might choose to go 6, 6, 6 like that. And then with the 3 7s, I could start working on this group over here. Yeah, I'm not going to get... I could actually go 1, 2, 3 7s here, and maybe I could get the 7s to be the group that doubles in the center if I get a 4 7 in there. So I did my 6s and 7s, roll again, and let me see, I've got 6, 5, 5, 5, quite a few 5s. Some 6s, 7, and 8. Sometimes you'll want to have only one or two of a number if you only need to fill in one space. So it's not the end of the world. So definitely want those 5s, because now I have, you can see here, it doesn't matter what order you take them. I have a 3, 4, 5, 6. So this top row is already going to score me 6 points at the end of the game. So 5s, I could basically go 5, 5, 5, 5. So now I've completed that hex. That's going to score. And you can see the most populous number here is 6. So that'll be worth 6 points. And then I could take the 6s, the 7, or the 8. I think I want to complete this middle section, so I'll take... No, actually, that would take the 2 7s, so I'll wait till I get more. 2 6s over here wouldn't be the end of the world, so we'll take those. And we have that. Roll again. So we have a 3, 2 4s, a 5, actually 3 5s, and 2 7s. So 2 7s would be great there. So I think I'll do that. 7, 7. And then, and again, I'm not playing optimally, so forgive me any strategic mishaps that might occur. So the problem is if I took the 3 5s and filled them in here, I would complete the section, but there'd be 4 5s to 3 8s, so this would only score me 5 points. I kind of don't want to do that. So the 5s I could fill in here and have the same thing, and then I'm basically giving up points as well. But I'll do that. I'll do 5, 5, 5, just in the interest of time. 5, and then I have 2 more rolls, and I'm really not using these powers, which are quite good. But there you have it. I'm just not being very strategic. Actually, what I did is I used the take 3 sets power, not the add an extra number power. So we have 2 7s. Okay, so completing this with 6s won't be the end of the world. I was hoping to roll at some point more 8s, and these dice are evenly distributed. I've just had terrible luck because I need 8s over here and I also need 8s here. Looking down here, I have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If I get an 8, I'll get 8 points for that. Here I need a 3 and a 4, so I definitely want to take those 3s, which sounds like it might be a bad move, but it's going to allow me basically to complete that. Right now I only get 3 points for it because you if you don't have 3, 4, right now I'm missing a 4, so right now I won't get to that 8. So then 3 6s seems like a good idea. And I could go 6, 6, 6 in there. So that's definitely going to score me 6 points. And then hopefully I could roll some 8s. And I rolled exactly 0 8s. So that was really dreadful for my game. Definitely the chance you take when you're playing a dice game, I suppose. So let's see. Here, what I could do, I need 4 certainly to complete this section down here. So I'll definitely take 4s here. The catch is all of my 4s are closed off, so I can't even take the 4s. So I really didn't plan that one through. So that eliminates even the possibility of taking those. I could add +1 to one of the dice that I take. So if I take 3s here, I could add a 2 in there, or just add a third 3. Actually, here's what I'll do. I'll take a 3 and a 3, and I'll use my 2 special power here to basically complete that section at 8 points each. So that took 3s. And then I have to take either the 5, the 6, or the 7. I don't think any of them is going to help me, and you can only use one of these special powers per round. So essentially, I'll just take the 7 and put that here. Alright, so that was a pretty dreadful game, but I'll score it up so you can see how it scores. So here I have 1 unused power, which would be the added die power. That's worth 2 points for each unused power. Then we'll check each of these sections. Here it's incomplete, so 0. Here it's completed. I have 3 8s. There's nothing else that has 3 there, so that's 8 points. Here I have a lot of 5s, so that's 5 points. Then here I have 6s, so that's 6 points. 0 here, it's incomplete. And then in this last section, all 6s, so that's 6. So that's 25 points for that section. In the middle section, I think I have 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I totally didn't notice I had 5 4s. I have 5 4s, so unfortunately that becomes 8 points. So don't use this as a strategic guide, just use this as a way to see how the game plays. And I think the only 2 numbers that I connected with a chain, because I didn't do down here, are the 4s. So only 4 points for that. So like I said, pretty dreadful. Here though, I have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, so that's 7 points for my top row. And then I don't have a 4 in the bottom, so I only have a 3, so that's a total of 10 points for those. So I would have 35, 45, 47, 49 points, which is a pretty sorry sum, I have to say. I do have another demonstration here. You can see this other time that I played, I got 65. Definitely not the end of the world, though. These are the chances you take when you play a dice game live. So that is basically how you're going to play Hex Roller in a multiplayer game. Whoever had the highest score would win. Alright, so that is Hex Roller, and this is a really interesting roll and write game. It's one that I rather like. The real benefit of it is that it legitimately plays in 10 minutes. There's only 7 rolls of the dice. Each time the dice are rolled, players are going to pick 2 of those groupings of dice and just fill out their score sheets. There's very little chance that you're going to sit there with AP over your choices, because usually the dice are going to distribute themselves into situations where it's pretty obvious which ones you might want to take. Something that's interesting is, though, even though every player is essentially building off of the same score sheet, you end up with very different results, and I think that's a testament to how many decisions you do have in this game. There's a lot of different ways that you could score in the game. There are bonuses for completing sections. There are bonuses for essentially completing connections from one number to another across your whole board, which takes a lot of work for how many points that you get. And then there's also the decision to draft certain dice just to complete a set of, a sequential run of those dice. So all of those competing interests are going to result in very different player outcomes, I find. So even though you're all on the same score pad, I do question why they put it's a 2-sided score pad, and the other side of the score pad is basically like a beginner game or an easier game where you're going to use 1 less die, and the score pad's more tightly constrained. This is not a game that takes very long to play as it is, even on the advanced side. It's literally a 10-minute game. So although it does, I've played on the other side, it does seem like, rolling fewer dice means, just that 1 die seems to make a difference about the dice distribution. So, having 3 dice in a group of 7 feels like a bigger deal than 3 dice in a group of 8. Come up with the same face, so people will pounce on that. And I don't know, I guess I question the decision of why they did that on the back of the score pad. I think most players would rather have had just a completely different configuration using all 8 dice. That's a pretty minor complaint. I think that realistically most players are going to play with all 8 dice on the same side of the score pad all the time. But maybe not. Maybe I'm way off base with that. That's just, it just seems like to me a relatively inconsequential change to the game. where they could have done something more consequential if they wanted to have two different variants of the game. But that being said, I think that the game is definitely interesting. Having those special powers to use over the course of the game give you just a little bit of chance to mitigate dice luck. If you're really desperate to complete a section, there's that Hail Mary, put a 2 in any open hex. So that's something that you'll find saves you quite a lot in the game. And just in general, I think that's a game that's pretty well designed. It's really straightforward, really quick playing. There's very little chance of AP, and it could play almost unlimited number of players. So I'm not really sure that I have any major complaints about the game. It's just a really nice, compact design. So those are my thoughts on Hex Roller, and thank you for watching.